Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nikhil Agrawal, and on behalf of Nepalese Young Entrepreneurs Forum Kathmandu chapter and Nepal Association for Software and IT Services Companies, NASIT, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you all to this exciting event, Shaping the Future of Society Through AI, Global Insights and Nepal's Ambition. This event is a landmark event as it is a convergence of entrepreneurship, technology, with a focus on AI. Today, we are gathered here to explore the transformative potential of artificial intelligence and its relevance to shaping the future of our society, both globally and within Nepal. With a stellar lineup of speakers, we are in for an insightful and a thought-provoking session. Before we dive in, let us begin with a welcome speech by someone who has been instrumental in bringing NASIT to life. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Richard Shrestha, founding president of NASIT and CEO of QuickFox Technology, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished panelists, Mr. Michael Bronstein, Bishesh Khanal, and moderator in this dua as well. And everyone, first of all, Happy New Year in advance to everyone, all of you. So I'm very excited about this event today. I'm looking forward to hearing some interesting, insights from our panels today. I just wanted to give you a little bit about NASIT. So NASIT is a industry association, tech industry association of Nepal, formed back in 2022. Backed by 32 founding companies in the beginning, and now we have grown to 70 members today. So we're working on different areas like policy advocacy, international market development, various partnerships with academia and research institutions to really grow the ecosystem of Nepal, tech ecosystem of Nepal. And so we have been doing a lot of activities, and I'm sure a lot of you have already known about NASIT and the kind of activities that we have been doing for the past 2 years. Since OpenAI came out in early 2022, I think AI has become a mainstream subject for everybody, whether it's for technologists like us, or students, or developers, or content creators, right? So we all have been experiencing the power of AI, how we can leverage AI to become more productive in our everyday life. And unlike other technologies in the past, like blockchain, I think AI is not a fad anymore. It's really going to disrupt and create a lot of opportunities at the same time in the next few years. A lot of innovation is going to come out in the following years, because I believe that AI is going to enable all these kind of rapid innovations, and the kind of jobs that we do, the way we do things, is going to change as well in the coming years. And I think AI has actually posed a lot of questions in a global stage around how the world is going to change, who is going to benefit from AI, how some segment of people will going to lose opportunities at the same time, right? I'm personally very excited about the opportunities that AI will create, but at the same time also worried about how AI can may disrupt the society that we are here today. And it's all on us, how we can save the future of technology together. And now this new thing in the market, like agentic AI, is here today, right? I think in 2025, I think we'll see, probably, thousands of startups with agentic AI as their core offerings as well. And I'm sure that because we are all technologists here, I think we are the ones who are going to be most disrupted at the same time. So, without taking much time today, I just wanted to welcome everyone to this interesting session and very experienced people from working in this space to share their views around how AI is going to set the society as a whole. So thank you so much, and I think we're all looking forward to a very interesting conversation today. Thank you.
I would like to give a brief introduction about NAMI as well. NAMI is a research institution dedicated to empowering Global South into a region with self-sustained creator economy that drives local solutions with global relevance through transformative research, education, and innovation. A brief introduction about NYEF as well. NYEF is the largest network of young entrepreneurs of Nepal with 14 chapters and more than 800 members spread across all 7 provinces. Now, allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists. Michael Bronstein, a DeepMind professor of AI at Oxford and the former head of graph learning at Twitter. Michael's pioneering work in machine learning and AI has redefined boundaries of technological innovation. We are thrilled to have you with us, Michael. Mr. Bishesh Khanal, co-founder, director, and research scientist at NAMI. Bishesh has been instrumental in advancing AI research in Nepal and is a shining example of how Nepal can stand out on the global AI stage. And to guide today's discussion, we have the dynamic Mr. Nidesh Dwar, CEO and co-founder of Veda app, representing both NYEF KTM and NASIT as our moderator. Thank you for leading us with the important dialogue. And I would now request all our panelists as well as moderator to please be on the stage.
Thank you, Nikhil. So, welcome everyone once again. This is a very, I think it's one of the landmark events for both NASIT and NYEF because I think this is one of the first events we have done together. So it signifies convergence of entrepreneurship and technology and with focus in AI, right? We have experts of AI in here. So without further ado, although Nikhil has introduced both of our panelists, I would love to hear from you both about your journey, why you started in AI, and what are you working on currently. First, you might.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to be here, and well, it's my second time in Nepal, and I like it very much. The first time, so I'm back, and I hope it will not be the last one. So I'm a computer scientist, so I work in machine learning and artificial intelligence at Oxford. So I grew up and studied in Israel. I was also involved, basically I founded several startups, had 2 successful exits. In parallel to my career in academia, I also worked in the industry. So the first company that exited was acquired by Intel, so I spent almost 8 years there, working mostly on 3D sensing technology and machine learning methods for this sector, basically 3-dimensional sensing, so that Intel then pivoted into automotive, self-driving cars. Then the startup Fabula was acquired by Twitter in 2019, so we're working on a particular type of machine learning for misinformation detection. And I spent 4 years at Twitter afterwards, mainly doing foundational work in machine learning, but also introducing the graph-based ML technology in the company. So most recently, I'm interested in generative models for life sciences, for biology. So I'm involved in several drug design and drug discovery companies. So if probably you heard about this year's Nobel Prizes, so the AlphaFold from DeepMind was awarded Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And this is just probably a preview of what is we should be expecting in this field. So it probably will transform the way that we do science, especially in experimental sciences. So I'm also now the head of scientific director of a new institute in Austria, in Vienna, that was funded by a big endowment from the Boehringer Family Foundation, or the historic owners of the Boehringer Ingelheim company, one of the biggest pharma companies in Europe. So it was also the largest donation for science, 150 million euros in the history of Austria. So that's basically the mandate of the new institute is to change the way that work is done in the field of life science with the help of AI. So that's briefly about myself.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here alongside Michael, who is one of the leading figures in the world today, especially in AI. Yeah, geometric deep learning, that's the term he coined actually, and one of the important technology or science behind AlphaFold, I guess, right? And myself, so I did undergrad here in Nepal, in Potok campus. Was involved in robotics. Felt there's a lot more to do in Nepal in terms of higher education research. And I was interested in computer vision at that time, so I mostly pursued computer vision, masters in computer vision in France, did my PhD there. Was doing postdoc in London. I was at King's College London and Imperial College London. That's where, before Oxford, Michael was also at Imperial. And in parallel, I, along with the team, I have a great team, great set of friends with me, who during our PhD days in France tried to envision a center of excellence that may not necessarily be very big, but should be of very high quality. That was the idea, that building center of excellence in Nepal, and this is not just Nepal, but also elsewhere, hopefully in future. And that was the parallel thing that we were doing, and when we founded NAMI in 2018, I basically resigned early 2019 in London and moved back here. Since 2019 I'm here. In terms of scientific research, I'm mostly focused on machine learning, both some theoretical aspects, especially around low resource. How do you reduce computational part, or how do you need less data? And also applied building methods specifically in healthcare, with the healthcare systems or healthcare settings like Nepal or low resource countries in Africa and Latin America. So there's pretty much, there's a majority of the world population live in a health systems which has different kinds of constraints, and how do you build AI or ML systems that can improve the quality of life, healthcare service delivery in these aspects. So a lot of my research revolves around those aspects. And I'm also involved in three startups right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That's really good introduction. So, Michael, so like President of past President of NASID mentioned, AI is moving very fast, right? When we're being used to it. It's a very forward-thinking question. What do you think will be the next big breakthrough in AI, right? And how is it going to transform industries, society as a whole?
Probably one thing that you need to realize about AI, right? So if probably coming as users mostly, but also people who are developing it, is how fast the field is moving. So therefore, making projections is very difficult because you can be contradicted by some development maybe a few months down the line. And well, I made my bunch of wrong predictions that didn't live up to the expectations. I guess many other people as well. I would say that this is really transformative technology that is changing the way that we are thinking about whether it's science, whether it's business, whether it's art, whether it's practically everything. And even for people working in this field, something that we see nowadays, just 5 years ago, would be considered almost science fiction. So it is moving that fast and that impressively to that extent. If I were to bet, well, and again, I'm biased because I'm working on AI for science, I would say that probably the very process of scientific discovery, right? So that has been around for centuries, probably since the time of Galileo Galilei, will gradually be, and probably gradually but very rapidly be taken over by the machine. So, and it poses interesting, even philosophical questions. What will be the role of humans and how science should be done in the age of AI, right? So will we become obsolete, for example? So what is certain is that well, not only in science, but across different fields, there will be tectonic shifts in the different jobs, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that jobs will disappear, so humans will be replaced, probably the new jobs will be created, but we need to be prepared for that. So we need to realize that very quickly things that we are maybe taking for granted and we're used to will look very differently. Yeah. And I think probably the main message, right? So if I were to compress it into one sentence, it will be way faster than you might expect.
Within the last 5 years, I think it was in 2019, ChatGPT launched for the first time, and within 3 or 4 years, we have seen a lot of things that we actually, like you said, imagined as science fiction. Now it's happening, videos, audios, and everything. Business that I also want to ask the same question to you, but with a new perspective. So, what's the next big breakthrough that you see in AI? But then, how will it impact economies like Nepal? Because you have been in UK, seen seen those ecosystem, and you are back in Nepal. And how do you think this kind of technologies will impact emerging economies mainly?
Next breakthrough, as Michael said, it's very hard to predict the way things are moving, both the pace and scale at which things are moving. I think it's hard to predict. I don't know what would be the next big thing. But in broad sense, yes, AI for science, or even general people, the way people use AI or interact with AI will have implications on job dynamics. In parallel, I think so. I feel like when we think about things in terms of science or societies, a lot of people work around, let's say, there's business, the economy, and then there's politics, geopolitics, and then there's science, and these things they're going on different sets of people work on different things. And then if you want to talk about equity, if you want to talk about politics, there's certain people talk in that certain ways, or they act on it, on the current state of the world in certain ways. But I think as scientists, we don't have to obviously go into politics or talk about or build opinions, but can we do something through science or academic community where we still do hard science or difficult problems to solve? It's intellectually stimulating, that's what drives us, curiosity, and then hard problems to solve. But at the same time, can we think a little bit on how to build equitable world, right, in that sense? So that's what drives at least my research in healthcare. And your question was exactly, sorry, so first, what was the question?
So,
the second one?
So what is the big trend?
Yeah. I think it's, for me, if I look at the global stage, I see three major themes on which, depending on which part of the way world functions now. If you see, so this one is clearly geopolitics. As soon as something that becomes really powerful comes in, as of now, this country is the geographic divide for the current state of the world, and there's obviously some countries that are powerful, some aren't. And how do they see these powerful technologies going, for example, US or China or EU, etc. So how do they act or react if there is certain power shift in the status quo, the way things are working now? There might be actions and reactions that could have a fallout in completely wrong directions, which we don't want. If that happens, even if technology is great, even if there's potential in technology, maybe we won't be able to get the fruits of those technologies because we might not have control on something that is going in as a humanity if we go in the wrong direction. So that's something I think one needs to be clear. In certain part of the history, UN or certain entities were required, they needed to be there for make world in a certain way. So maybe for AI, if it starts becoming really transformative and really powerful, and if it goes fast, how do we ensure things are going well among countries or globally? So that's one direction. I don't know what will happen, but something to keep an eye on. The second is the way the societies form and belief systems people have. Before the social media, obviously humans by inherently are diverse in nature. We have different opinions, we like different things, we have different belief sets, we have different set of ethics, but then there are conflicts also, there are also good things happening. But with social media and the way the world is globalized now, and add AI into this on every field, there will be, for example, with robots, how to deal with robots, or do we give AI to do all the science and we keep aside on it? So these philosophical or ethical questions. So there are many more coming in the future. And how do we as societies or groups of people react to it? Because there's sometimes tendencies of humans to, let's say you have a certain belief set, and seems you would want others to have similar beliefs. If you don't have, you don't like it somehow. I don't like it. That's how people sometimes behave in social media. And then so how do people live in harmony, be okay with people having completely different belief sets around AI? I mean, on healthcare, you can think of gene editing. You can think of many other things, right? So how do people, as a society, we evolve in this rapidly evolving sets of belief sets. So I think that's the next big thing. The third is around equity and the ability to take knowledge generations. As NAMI also, so we have these three divisions. One of the reasons is this: one part is building knowledge, contributing to the global knowledge and science. That's one part that is important also. But at the same time, also a lot of these services in health, agriculture, law, many things will come as AI as services. These technologies, usually when they go to society, it comes in the form of a product or a service where there is a commercial entity involved. So there are always producer and consumer. So for countries like Nepal, not just Nepal, all the low middle income countries, if in the next decade you have many more services which comes in, but all these services you have to import, let's say, then how does it impact the macroeconomy, economy of the country? Do you have enough things to buy if you cannot export anything? Because even now there's a big trade deficit, we know that, right? And that is impacting the economy. But now imagine all these new AI products coming in, so you have to buy much more, import much more, and you still don't have the same scale up in the exports. And this is something one needs to really think of. And this is what I call as the big alignment. All the policies that countries like Nepal make, there should be a big alignment between the social good. So when I say social good, it's about ambitions of people in healthcare, access to healthcare, affordable healthcare, access to education, access to all these, and a government, or donor agencies, funding agencies, UN systems, they all work towards social good. Right, and that's one theme. The other theme is ability to make money, be entrepreneurs, be able to work, and so that's the other theme. And it seems somehow these two are not aligned. But if we want to take the opportunity of the global market, or the way AI works, or the potentials AI brings, one needs to seriously think of how to align these two streams. We do social good. We need to solve big healthcare problems. We need to find solutions to diseases. We need to find easier way to do agriculture, or all this, to scale these things. These are social goods. But while doing that, at least have an idea or have a program or build a policy and strategy in such a way that local entrepreneurs, local companies, local industries can build products. It doesn't mean Nepal has to bring everything. I'm not really protectionist or you have to do everything, no. But at least build this ecosystem where you can export few things, you can import few things. There's a balance. There should be a balance in economy, at least the way the current economy works in the world. This has to be. So I think that's the third part where it's really important, and how it goes. If we don't be careful, I think, I don't know, it will be hard, because lots of products will be you will be importing, and how does that impact the economy? Not in a right way, I think.
On the equity, and the reason is, it's also one of the reasons why the AI and machine learning community has been moving so blazingly fast, is the open source model. So most of the publications are made available in open source. So in a sense, if you know what you're doing, the effort of basically ramping up and starting doing something useful in this community is very small, right? Again, so it requires expertise, and that's why I think it's very important that institutions like NAMI exist, that they build local capabilities and local knowledge. But there are open source models, for example, LLM, so this is what Meta is working on, so, and I hope that this effort continues, and in fact, many prominent figures like Jan Dekan in this community are advocating for open source. This is really lowers dramatically the bar for entrance of others who do not have the resources, computational resources in particular, and the money of corporations like Google or Meta into this field.
Thank you for adding that. I think that's why there's a opportunity, because of the community working in a way. The access to knowledge is so much democratized. Pretty much anywhere in the world we can do great stuff. For that knowledge to get to products, there's certain kind of ecosystem that is needed from the industry, from the governments. On that side, we need to work. There's potential, yeah.
Yeah, to follow up on that question, like Michael said, like you said, I'll first go to this. So we have a lot of constraints, right? So the developed nations are pouring billions of dollars into technology, and you said a lot of services are going to be imported, and we are going to be more dependent on products that are built by all these economies that are pouring billions of dollars. We have constraint on if you look at investment, if you look at knowledge itself, and if you look at the policy level, we are not out there with par with all the other nations. So, do you think we have already lost the race, or we have some kind of unique strengths that might help us build products out of Nepal that will focus on local needs, but that can go global?
Thank you. AI is still relatively new, and as Michael rightly said, the access to the whole community, the way we work, in the rest of the science, I think it's still behind in terms of open access or accessibility or giving knowledge out there in terms of. I think we as a community in machine learning, we are quite at front. And once you have access to knowledge, and I really believe pretty much anywhere in the world, if you look at some of the best people, they're similar. Given right opportunities, they all have similar potential in terms of intrinsic human brain capacity, right? It's just the right setup, right mindset, and right set of environment we need to get. And in terms of research-wise, if we have shown like Nani, who has never taken any core funding, to be at this stage, we're not big, but I think there's enough evidence in terms of you can excel even in these situations. But what is needed now is the other aspect. Because doing research, yes, access to knowledge, and once you have expertise, you can generate knowledge. That is easy. The harder part is how do you now compete in terms of products and build successful companies. And there is other ingredients that are important. And that's where I think NYEF, I know NYEF is a young entrepreneurs group. It's really important to now think of how people in NYEF are doing business, how to get into this global market of where innovation is the driver, or innovation-based economy, or innovation-based companies. Because I think traditionally most of Nepal we see trade-based economy where there's import of cars or import of all these technology, and then you export, you sell it here, and then you make money. That's fine, but how do we now build innovation-based economy? And there's certain, from the mindset, from the risk, we were talking offline earlier about people's, the investors' ability to take risks. A certain kind of mindset that is needed for if you have good idea and good people on right kind of ecosystem, very easy to raise funds. Because they know there are processes and even if you don't understand exactly what they're doing, if there's good people, they value good people or experts, and then they value good ideas. In systems, in economies like Nepal, that's where I think we are struggling. You need clear path revenues or all these business models, everything. There's a slightly different mindset on how you are tangible things, real estate. That's where investment goes. So this cultural shift is needed. Regarding billions of, I think it's not always about money. Maybe I will ask Michael because he has more experience on working on Twitter and startups. If we look at these great startups, and then it's not always coming from big companies. So I think it's not just about having billions of dollars of money. There's certain other ingredients to building great stuff. So maybe, I don't know the answer, we'll ask him, but in terms of the country level, yes, there is some investment needed, but it's not huge investments because AI is not just ChatGPT. There are a lot of things one can do, so we don't always need billions of dollars to do. We're doing a lot of things that maybe can be done at a much smaller level, maybe millions. And something that on the range where the industries here are spending, our government are spending, and where to fit, we cannot compete in scale. So I'll just end at the end. There's India, there's China, and then country-wise, we cannot really compete in terms of scale, but can we do something in terms of excellence? Like Israel, he grew up, he studied in Israel. Like Israel is a good example. It has a population less than Nepal's, but globally it is known to be a place where you can build amazing startups and technologies. But of course it has certain history, culture, and there's a lot of things to it. But can we do something like that at least in AI in Nepal? Maybe we need to, what are the strategic areas where you focus and what kind of excellence we build? That is perhaps more important from my point of view. But one question I wanted to ask is how about the big investments in big companies versus startups?
I totally agree that I think talent is more or less equally distributed. So if you have competent people, it doesn't really matter where they are, whether they're in Kathmandu or in the Silicon Valley or in Boston or in London. It is though very different from through the eyes of the investors, right? And well, I invested myself, of course, on a smaller scale. In startups, investors try to minimize uncertainty. So they know how San Francisco works, they know how Boston works, they know how London works, they have no clue how Kathmandu works, right? I'm talking about the majority of investors, let's say big funds in the US. So it is, for them, it's a kind of terra incognita. They have no idea what to do with it, whether these people are good, what are the local peculiarities, how the laws work, what is the jurisdiction. So they don't know, and probably, if there is no strong reason, they probably don't want to know because they have thousands of other opportunities elsewhere. So it probably requires, well, first of all, educating the world, right, or the investment community that there are cool things coming out of here. And I think what NAMI is doing is, at least on the scientific front, trying to do it, to say that, well, we are doing the same world-class science as everybody else, just on a smaller scale. So I like actually very much the slogan of great things come out of small places. I think that's exactly the right mindset. But then, of course, you should be pragmatic. So, for example, companies could be incorporated, I don't know, in Delaware or in the UK, and then most of the R&D could be done here. So, for investors, it could be a good value proposition because it's way cheaper to develop things here than in San Francisco. But then, of course, what you need to make sure that you don't drain the talent, and all the development is done here, and all the profits are made in the US, and nothing comes back. So that's really the key challenge, how to set it up. And I'm not talking about Nepal, I'm talking about, in general, what you can call the global south. How to make sure that this doesn't happen.
And I think this is the first time software companies have, or the tech community has come together to collaboratively from Nepal. And yeah, so the big thing is, how do we build products in here that can go global, right? I think that's one of the challenges. And investment, like you said, the big investors are not looking towards Nepal. Maybe we'll have some examples that will attract them. Pretty close to future, because I see a lot of companies, very innovative companies in Nepal in AI. So, Michael, following up on that question, you have been in academia, but also you have built a lot of startups, right? Some of them, Fabula being acquired by Twitter, InVision being acquired by Intel. So, I would love to know about your journey, because it's a different kind of journey, right? So you are working on cutting edge technology, but then you're also building products. That are two different things, because cutting edge technology only looks towards research, right? And you have successfully built the product acquired by companies. So how do you assemble the team? What are the challenges that you are facing when you work with cutting edge technology? And then what do entrepreneurs working in, especially in AI these days, have to know about building a good company?
It's probably, my answer is to be in the right time in the right place. So when you do research, right, when you work in some field, you know the trends, so you know what technological capabilities are, what the interesting problems are. So it kind of, you have at least a big picture of what might work, what might not work. Of course, it's not enough. And I think as academic researchers, we tend to be, because we are working on, well, complicated stuff, so we tend to underappreciate the complexity and the difficulty of making a business out of it. It's much more difficult to build a successful company than to publish a paper, for example, right? A scientific paper. So somehow we develop solutions that look for problems rather than start with a problem and look for a solution. And sometimes the solution for a problem, it doesn't necessarily require that sophisticated level of mathematics or that beautiful theory that we like to hold dear in our academic work. So first of all, realizing that that's how we are built. So some people can do both well. I know a few people like this. But in general, basically finding the right people or the right combination of people that cover both aspects. So the technological innovation and the business innovation. And there is this saying, maybe a little bit maximalist, that technology is responsible for 20% of success and 80% of failure. I think it's true for technological companies. It's if something doesn't work technologically, right, what you promised, then the company might fail. But there are many examples of successful companies that do not have necessarily a very sophisticated technology, and they're successful because, well, the business part of it is successful. So I would say that it is the more important part, right? And this is sad for me to also say, because I like the technology and I like the science, and that's what makes me excited. basically this a little bit humble realization that's not the most important part. So sometimes you have good enough solutions that do not necessarily live up to the top standards of, let's say, academic publications, but they're good enough for so basically being pragmatic, right? So, and probably being in the right time, in the right place, not necessarily with the best solution, is more important.
So I want to ask you one very interesting question. So you were in UK doing research, doing working on very cutting edge technology. What made you come back to Nepal? The first question is that. And we have seen both worlds, right? So you have seen talent in UK and US, and you have also seen talent in Nepal in AI. So what are some of the challenges that you see here, and what are some of the opportunities that you see here in terms of human capital?
The seeds of coming back, I think it was there when I started undergrad here in Uttar campus, which is supposed to be the best institute, and I felt the best institute in Nepal should be way better than what we have. And I did not know exactly what, but I thought, okay, I told myself I would work on higher education and research. This was also because I was involved in robotics, went to international competitions at that time, and we were competing against Japan, China, India, all that. We were not so different. We even won, I think, when I was mentoring one of the years, we were the best robot award against all these top Chinese teams that came competing amongst hundreds. But there was this realization, okay, anyone can be good anywhere. We just didn't have right resources and to go beyond, because if you can perform at undergrad level, then but then there was nothing afterwards. In robotics, Nepal is nowhere. But then at undergrad level, if you're doing as good as Japan and China, then there's something missing. So that was initially, but I could have changed my mind after when I went to France and then doing PhD at INRIA. I started getting attracted to healthcare, and the second realization was, as Michael said, when I was in the conferences, when we go, even our own work, our others who are colleagues who are going, we see, sometimes it felt like sci-fi in that time of some of those things people were doing, right? And many of these problems we were focusing on, I felt there's many other healthcare problems where we need very hard core research, or we need to invest a lot in terms of research, but would have impact to billions of people around the world, but they were kind of neglected. It's not completely neglected. There are research groups around the world in good universities working, but I found way less number of people work in terms of the resources. How much resources being invested to those kind of problems which impacts the majority of the world population? It's less. That was the second realization where I thought, okay, there should be more scientists in low-income countries, more innovators, so that, or at least more resources. It could be anywhere, yeah, it could be in Oxford, MIT, people working, that's also fine, but we need more of that. The third realization was when I was at London, again working, when I thought I knew what were the problems in countries like Nepal, because I grew up here, I spent more 22 years here, and I thought I knew what we needed, because I was working on low-cost ultrasound research. But then when I came back, when I used to come here and then go out to villages and talk with lots of people here in the process of, because we were about to set up NAMI at that time, but I wanted to know before landing here on what kind of things to work on, and I started here. And then actually when I am here, I think I did not know many things. So there are certain things you can understand when you immerse in the society, when you live there. And these kind of inputs are also important when you want to innovate. Just like he said in the startup, it's not that you don't start with the solution and try to find the problem. We need to find right problems, we need to invest, because there are limited resources. So these limited resources in the world should be invested in right problems. And right problems in the right way to tackle it. There is of course scientific part, but then there's also non-scientific part in terms of understanding the nature of problem and where you want to solve that. That was the third thing that really, or at least in the third stage when I'm here, feel like, okay, you need scientists or innovators living in these kind of places around the world. And for that you need institutions. And this kind of what I call now as AI, multidisciplinary center of excellences, AI center of excellences. We need network of these center of excellences in the global south or the low-income countries. So it has the initial, as a teenager, more frustration that turned out more into, as I started doing more and more scientific research, it started aligning at a bigger picture. And that is what made me come here. And now in the healthcare, we will have another conference where we're trying to build a global network. Is what I have realized is earlier it was about solving problems, doing social good, and doing science. And now, after 5 years of experience here, I feel it's equally important to, when this knowledge that is being generated and the solutions that comes out from the scientific world, it can go to the society through the commercialization. And this commercialization, at least the low-income countries and innovators, scientific people who start working in this global south, we should try to create more opportunities for them to be able to commercialize that globally. So that's why I see this both entrepreneurship or the ability to build product and sell, which is a harder part than just doing science. These two, we need to work on both fronts. And that is why NAMI has this research division, education outreach division, which is equally important, the AI school kind of things we do, and the industry innovation division, where you try to build this ecosystem, where you can drive innovation and build products.
It's also entrepreneurship kind of entrepreneurship lab. Michael, so you come from Oxford, you have taught there, but there is a new kind of academic entrepreneurship that's happening. You see NAMI and other organizations that are doing research and trying to bring research to all the people, and bring back knowledge to all the. They are democratizing the knowledge of AI, right? So, how do you see this changing, the academics around the world, the institutions around the world?
Well, traditionally, you could think of basically these two types of institutions, right? So the academic institutions that take money and produce knowledge, right? And they're by definition non-profit. And the businesses, right, or the industry taking knowledge and producing money. Now, this has changed well, and it has always been maybe not completely clear divide, but basically there are businesses that produce knowledge, right? So many companies like Google, for example, they have stellar research labs like DeepMind, for example, or Meta, as FAIR, and so on, that are producing basically altruistically knowledge that they also share in open source. So basically they act as universities to some extent, and likewise universities try to make money out of the innovation that comes out of them, right? So it has become mixed. What I'm seeing also recently is a new type of organizations. So probably to some extent OpenAI, at least originally as it was intended, it was supposed to be a non-profit. So basically a company that works as a company, works as a startup, but not supposed to be profitable. I'm seeing also basically philanthropy, people like Eric Schmidt, for example, funding startup companies that are also supposed to be non-profit. So one example is Future House, that tries to automate with AI the production of science, right? So the scientific exploration process. So basically for the benefit of the entire community, not supposed to be profitable. These are sometimes called focused research organizations. So this blend between startups that have the agility and the drive and the craziness, as opposed to maybe bigger corporations that have certain ways of doing things that are much slower to move and to innovate. Well, I'm not saying that they are not innovating, but basically they have their constraints. And then the academic institutions, it's a different model where you can think of maybe big and long-term problems, but you might not have the resources of the industry. So I think the traditional landscape of such organizations is changing, and I think there is interesting place for new small players. And again, I like the slogan that small is not necessarily bad, right? So it can be limited, but it can make great things. If you choose and you bet you place your bets wisely.
So this is your second time in Nepal, or third time in Nepal? Second time?
The second time, yeah.
So you have been here twice. So what made you come back this year in NAMI? And the same question that I asked to Bishesh, like, you teach at Oxford, you have worked in a lot of startups, you know what talent is out there. And you have seen students in here, right? So you have got a chance to communicate with them, be with them for the last 2-3 days. So what is the difference that you see in the talent that's in UK and other Israel and other places and in Nepal? And what can be the opportunities and challenges?
I think that talent is roughly distributed equally everywhere, so there are bright people everywhere. I think when I teach students in Oxford, I don't think it will make a big dent. They are, in a sense, spoiled, so they have access to well, more or less everything, right? So I don't think that I have made a big contribution to their lives or their careers. I think when they come to a place like here, to Nepal, probably, well, it's hard for me to judge, right? So this is not something that you will see tangibly, or maybe I will never know, right? So it's an investment that you make, and you might never see any outcome. But I believe that it might move the needle more for at least a few people. And again, might never know. I have a couple of cases where I know that it has made a big impact, and this is very satisfying.
Depends. So NAMI is doing a lot of things, like you mentioned. It's a research organization. It's a startup hub. It's also working with schools, providing knowledge to teachers and students. You're doing a lot of things, right? So, what do you think is the impact that NAMI is bringing to the ecosystem? And actually, after NAMI started, what are the things that you see are happening in the ecosystem? That's one thing. And also for the industrialists and all the business people out here, as well as technology people out here, AI is going to disrupt all kinds of industries, right? So, what are the advices, suggestions, and what are the things that they should know right now so that they can actually prepare for the things that are going to come in the future?
Well, I might have biased view. Impact NAMI makes of course. I think it will make great impacts, but it's still early days. I think because what we're trying to build is an ecosystem. It's not just about one institute. It's an ecosystem. It's perhaps the biggest change we would like for the students, for people who work with us, is to see, and I see it also personally. I studied undergrad here, right? And the key gaps for me, it was not just technical things. Yeah, we can always learn one or two extra deep technical things. That's not hard. It's about mindset and giving them confidence that you are as good as you can be, as good as pretty much anyone in the world. I think that's something that is lacking here, people, because that goes more on the cultural sense. Culturally, you can see many instances of where a lot of people, because of different historical reasons, feel we are not good. The foreigners are better. There is this, not just in technical, in every sector, you can see these things. So that's perhaps also that gets expressed, this mindset in the young people who are here, and you cannot do much. So that's one impact I think we can see these days. Oh, you can do good things. That's one. The other is to look, to think beyond your basic coursework and think even beyond Nepal. It's not just because of Nepal I'm here. I think it's also the global context. Look at the world. Look at how things are going everywhere, and where you want to fit. Where do you want to contribute? It can be really theoretical stuff. It could be applied. It can be many different things. Not everyone has to do similar things. I try to find what is best for you. I think that's the second one in terms of impact. The third is the very easy, tangible impact in terms of the research experience that a lot of students now are able to get, because most of the publications we did, I think it's now around 70 research publications, and many of these are in top tier places where typically PhD students, postdocs from big labs publish, and it's competitive, peer-reviewed, everything. And there, these young, fresh undergrads are publishing there now. They're going to these conferences. Many of our students have gone around the world, different conferences. So that's clear opportunity that was non-existent before, almost non-existent. Maybe there was one or two exceptions, but most of these publications are first time from all of Nepal in this field. So that's opportunity. Startups, now we have 3-4 startups at NAMI, and now suddenly we can see so many others trying to do, coming up with hard problems. We want to solve this in healthcare on this, and can we get this startup incubated in NAMI? So there's this, people are starting to see, okay, if they dream something on a hard problem, perhaps there was no ecosystem here to find someone who can support them or contribute intellectually on their dreams on the intellectual side, on the startups. And now they see NAMI as a place where they can potentially start working on that problem. Right, so that's another impact is in general, we are starting to get a lot of industry and companies trying to say, can we work together in AI? This is something we're trying to figure out. We are really interested in building some joint R&D labs with industry, especially those who can commit to, let's say, 3 years, 4 years. Okay, we have this set of big problems we want to identify and work and build products or product labs kind of thing, but we need investment. I mean, you need to be ready to invest if you want to do that kind of startup. Yeah, for advice for the company, I don't think I know enough to really advise on bigger picture, but if you come up with specific problems, yeah, we can surely get down, dig deeper into the problem and see if AI can help there or not. But that, yeah, we can do, but in general, it's hard to say. Maybe the mindset, I mean, yeah, maybe the advice would be to open up and try to, the science and these, yeah, of course, it's not always technology that builds the product, but technology can be an important component, especially in AI because it's rapidly moving. It's so moving fast, you need to be, if you want to be competitive, you want to be associated or you want to be close to people who are working on the frontiers. So what we offer, I think, is there's a set of people in the team at NAMI who are working in the frontiers. They know where the fields is, where we are at the frontier and what would be the next best thing, at least in the short period of time. It's hard to predict at the global scale, but in that particular problem. So trying to be close with those kind of people and try to work with those people, you will find perhaps better solutions to many of the problems and maybe make profit out of it with products.
We have talked a lot about doing R&D together, and I think a lot of industries, even in NMF would be interested to do collaborative towards solving problems through AI with NAMI. This is the last question for you, Michael. So,
can I really just add? So there is this saying that culture is strategy. So what probably uniquely characterizes places like the US or Israel that I also know is people are not ashamed of failure. So if I think of myself, right, to different extent, most of my enterprises are a failure, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that your company goes bankrupt, but maybe you hope that it will be a multi-billion exit and it's maybe just a few hundreds of millions, right? So of course we have different scale to judge failure. In some other places, failure is considered to be a stain of shame, right? So you're not supposed to fail, right? So if you fail, then you roll with your tail between your legs, right? And you don't show up again. And this is unfortunately in many places like Europe. So this is this cultural difference that probably hamstrings and inhibits the innovation, because most of startups will fail. So you need to have the right mindset that you fall, you maybe fall hard, you rise and you do it again, right? And you try to do something, and unless you try, you will never succeed. The second thing that, in my view, is important culturally, and this is what was my experience as an undergraduate student in Israel, that was during the dot-com boom. So you see overnight people becoming billionaires, right? IPOing and exiting with their companies, and I see this guy, I'm actually better than him. I'm smarter, I study better. He can do it, I can also do it. So it gives you a perspective. And I think in places like here, so it's I've seen many students coming from, let's say, what we would call underrepresented communities that cannot imagine themselves in these roles. So pick up a typical student and ask, can you see yourself in 10 years from now or 5 years from now working for a company like OpenAI and making multiple millions per year? Probably this would seem like from the life of the Martians, right? So completely unachievable. So if you have somebody who has done it and comes back and say, I'm one of you and I have done it, so you can be like me, because I'm in no way better, so I just have the right circumstances. I think this is very important.
that was something I was going to ask you for the last question, but yesterday I met this young person who just passed out of Kutzog, and I was looking at his product and I was surprised. He was working on foundation model, right? So he was being really interesting thing, and coincidentally, Dandadai was also part of it. I just came in. And we're talking about not just him, I see a lot of people actually building really interesting things out of Nepal, but the problem is they do not get the investment right here, right? So you have also been an investor, you also have been a mentor. So because there are a few companies working in AI, so if they want to reach out of Nepal, what is the mindset of the investor, or what's the mindset of mentor that can guide them, or even how can we connect with the global ecosystem? What are your advice? Is there any kind of principles or framework you know of? I think that would be really helpful.
I don't know if you have ever seen penguins standing on an ice cliff and wanting to jump into the water, and they're very reluctant, so they're crowded and waiting until the first one jumps, and then everybody jumps, right? So that's the mindset of investors. So you need a few success stories. So you need a successful startup to say that we are able to do it, and then the penguins will jump.
We'll move on to Q&As from audience. we'll take 3 questions. So anybody interested to ask question to Bishesh?
So my question is, there are a lot of students who are going abroad to study AI, and I am into educational consultancy and get an opportunity to speak with them. But they always feel like they cannot come back to Nepal and do something here. So how do I I face this challenge by talking to them to make them understand that, you can come back here and do something. But I don't know even how to direct them towards actually taking the knowledge from the right culture or the right place and then coming back and investing in Nepal. So what would be the right suggestion to those students?
Not everybody has to come back. I think it's good to go out, see the world, and it's a globe. We are, a world citizen, so that's fine wherever one needs to. I think it's more, but then the only part what we are trying to do, and perhaps the consultation group is, if I see lots of, when I was living outside, I see so many Nepali people who are not happy. They wish they have complained. They really want to stay here, but they feel they cannot. So perhaps for those people, it's more about how do we create opportunities. Who wants to come back for certain, and it's purely personal reasons. It's for me. I came back for me. I didn't come back for someone else. It's just I had a dream. I wanted to do certain things. I came. And it has to be like that. I think that it should be your choice, not for the sake of others or for the sake of greater good. I'm doing small steps on what I enjoy, right? And for students, rather than that dichotomy of whether there should not be this underlying, whatever message you give, I don't know what exactly you should give, but it should not be in a way where you make them feel or pose it in a way where staying outside is bad. I don't think it should be there. It's okay, wherever one wants to live. It's giving more on the trying to understand why they don't want to come back, and maybe when they say certain things, if there is gap or if something is not true, maybe it's because one is perception of the reality in their ways, and if you can give them perhaps different lights on, for example, NAMI, what NAMI is doing, what people are doing, or for other places where some people are giving, and giving them options or views of the reality in different ways. Then it's for them to decide what they want to do. I think we should not decide for anyone else on where they should live or what they should do. But if they haven't seen things and they're deciding because of not seeing certain things, it's our responsibility or our opportunity to show them those things, but still not being prescriptive on what you should be doing. Yeah.
Judging from the educational perspective, right? So local universities or institutions like NAMI, so if they can train students to have successful careers abroad, I think this is mission accomplished, right? At least to some extent, because that's their success, and I think it should be an investment without expecting any return, right? So the return is that you make a successful impact on the careers of the people. Now, I would imagine that some people would return after they have become successful abroad. Some might return if there are opportunities here. And again, these are role models, right? So they're examples for others to follow. Even if a small fraction returns and brings the knowledge and the experience from abroad and applies it here, I think that's already a success.
I think today is very special because we can say from the panel as well as the participants who are in here, we can say that Nepal is actually moving faster than we thought in terms of AI and other technologies as well. And I've been meeting a lot of people in the last 2-3 weeks, and I've felt that I've felt different. I'm very optimistic because I see a lot of people coming back to Nepal and trying to help build companies out of Nepal, right? So I've seen a lot of Nepalese come back, and some Nepalese that have started company out of Nepal come back and at least give jobs in Nepal. And we see NAMI doing that, bringing people from all around the world to Nepal to immerse, give them, at least connect Nepal to the global world, and also give the knowledge that we do not actually, and give cutting edge knowledge to all the students in Nepal. So this is very positive. And NYF and SIT coming for this event is more positive because entrepreneurs and technology cannot be separated. Right, so there has to be a mix of both to actually move the industry forward. And NASIT also works in tech to help tech ecosystem grow. We have startup awards and other events that is focused for startups in Nepal. I also want to welcome John over here. John has come to Nepal, retired to Nepal from He has worked in Google for more than 10 years. In Google Plus, if you know Google Plus, he has been in very senior position and also in a lot of startups. And he has also come back and started an initiative called Product Vidyalaya, and I was a part of it. Very interesting one. He brings the knowledge of Google, how products are built there, to students in Nepal and to professionals in Nepal. So, with this note, I want to end the session here, and thank you all for being here.
One takeaway that stands out to me as an entrepreneur from Mr. Bishesh is that while Nepal may not yet compete with global giants in terms of scale, we have the potential to excel by focusing on excellence. Let us remember that success is not always about being the biggest, but about being the best in what we do. Together, we can create a future where Nepal leads in innovation and quality. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the presence of two more exceptional minds among us. Mr. Vivek Chaudhary, he is the Assistant Professor of Nanyang Business School, Singapore, and Mr. Chetan Arora, he is the Microsoft Chair Professor of Computer Science at Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi. Before we conclude, we would like to extend our gratitude to our speakers and our moderator with a token of appreciation. For the same, may I request Mr. Abhimanyu Golcha, the President of NYF Kathmandu chapter, and Mr. Richenji on the stage to present these token of love to our panelists and moderator.
As we come to the end of today's event, Shaping the Future of Society through AI, I'd like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made it here to this session. First and foremost, I would like to thank our panelists from today, Mr. Michael Bronstein. Michael, your global insights into the rapidly evolving AI world have really been very inspiring to us. I'd also like to thank Bishesh Khanal, your work and dedication in advancing AI in Nepal continue to show the immense possibilities that we can achieve as a nation. And finally, to our moderator, Nirdesh Dua, thank you for skillfully steering the conversation and bringing the best insights out of our panelists. Also want to take this opportunity to thank Nami. You all helped us in organizing this session and for organizing such an esteemed panelists. Nami has also collaborated with us for the AI school. So a few of our NYF Kathmandu chapter members have got an opportunity to go to this AI school. So thank you, Nami, again for this. Special thank you to NASIT for collaborating with us and bringing this event to life. Your partnership has been instrumental in creating this platform where global and local perspectives on AI can interact, inspire meaningful dialogue, and spark innovative ideas. Also want to acknowledge the presence of our top 20 startups. We are currently in the middle of the NYF Startup Awards, and our top 20 startups, a lot of them are here. Thank you all for coming, and I really hope this session has sparked new ideas and inspired you into your entrepreneurial journeys. At NYF, we believe in the power of collaboration, learning, and inspiration. Today's discussion highlighted the transformative role of AI, not just as a technology, but as a driving tool for societal progress, innovation, and growth. Finally, I want to thank our audience for your active participation and engagement. Your curiosity and enthusiasm is what made events like this truly meaningful. Thank you once again, everyone, for being part of this event. Have a great evening, and looking forward to seeing you in all future events.